to everyone. My name is Sandeep. I'm working as assistant professor in the Department of Information Technology of MLR Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. So, today we are going to discuss that remaining statement of conditional statement. That is, previously we discussed about what is control statements and what is if statement and what is the purpose of if else statement and what are the drawbacks or limitations for the if statements with an examples, that is programmatic examples. Now here see, next we have that if else statement, loop statements, while loop, right? So first we'll discuss about what if else statement we can say. So all the statements are using to executing the statements based on the conditions. But when we have to use the if else statement, because of as a programmer we have to know at which requirement we have to use the statements. That is if else statement, because of both if else statement and if else statement both are going to execute the statements based on the conditions only. But at which requirement we have to use if else statement, at which requirement we have to use if else statement. Okay, for example, if you want to check only one condition, then you can take if else statement. For example, if you want to check multiple conditions, then you can take if else statement. Yes, here if else statement is going to useful to check multiple conditions. Whenever you have to check multiple conditions, then you can use what if else statement. See here, right? So multiple conditions are there. Okay, so multiple conditions are there, right? Next, coming to this one syntax here, first the condition 1 will be evaluated. If the condition 1 is true, then this block of statement will be executed. But if condition 1 becomes false, then the flow will enter into evaluate the condition 2. Here whenever the condition 2 is evaluated, then the condition 2 becomes true, then the block of statement will be executed. If the condition 2 becomes false, then the flow will enter to evaluate the condition 3. If the condition 3 becomes true, then this statement will be executed. If the condition 3 also becomes false, then the flow will enter into else block and execute this block of statements. That means if none of the condition becomes true, conditions becomes true, then the else block statement will be executed. So this is about what if else statement working, right, or flow of execution. So we'll take an example here. See, so in this example we take the 3 values from the user by using input function. Of course, that input function returns the default type is string type. So that's why we use the int function to convert the string value into int type. Now, if you take 10, 20, 30, that means A value 10, B value 20, C value 30. Now see, for example, now we have to check. So A is greater than B. That means 10 is greater than B and next 10 is greater than 30. Here we use one operator, that is AND operator, which we discussed previously, that is logical AND operator. So logical AND operator is what? So true, if one of the operand is true and it returns true, and second operand is also true, means it returns true. If one operand is true and second operand is false, then it returns what? False. And if one operand is false and second operand is also false, means it returns false. So this is about AND operator, right? Now see here, 10 is greater than 20. 10 is greater than 20. True or false? False. Next, 10 is greater than 30. True or false? False. False and false. False and false means total condition becomes false. So whenever the total condition becomes false, then the flow entered into the second condition evaluation. So here see, now next here the condition has to be checked. For example, see, B is greater than A. What B is? B value is what? 20 is greater than 10. 20 is greater than 30. Now the first 20 is greater than 10. Yes, the condition true. 20 is greater than 30. Yes, the condition becomes false. Now true and false result what? False only. So that means this condition also becomes false. So none of the condition becomes false means then the else block statement will be executed and the value, that is 30 value, is maximum value. Okay. So let me see an example. Now see, A equals to int of input function enter a value. Okay, na? Enter a value. Next, B equals to int of input function enter B value. Next, C equals to int of input function enter C value. Now we have to check condition. If A is greater than B and A is greater than C, then what will be happen? So maximum value is A, right? If A, so B is greater than A and B is greater than C. Now print maximum value is B, else print maximum value C. So this is the thing, right? So let me run this an example. So enter value 10, 20, 30. So maximum value is what? 30. For example, now see 20, 30 and then 10. What is that one? 30. So like that one. It shows what? Whenever you are going to check multiple conditions, then we can use what? If, else statement. Next, so that is about what? Conditional statements. So 3 types of conditional statements. Next we have what? Loop statements. So what is this loop statements? Yes, as we discussed previously, that is at starting of the control statements. So whenever a statement has to be executed repeatedly, that means when you want to execute a statement multiple times repeatedly, then you can use what? Loop statements. For example, if you take an application, that is Spotify application. So while listening the songs, just imagine you like a song. While listening the songs in an album, you like a song. At that time, what you did? Again, you have to listen the song multiple times. So at that time, in the Spotify application, there is one option, that is loop option. So by clicking on the loop option, that song will play repeatedly, that is multiple times. So that is the one of the real-time example. And another example, if you take the Candy Crush game application. So Candy Crush game application here is what? For example, as a fresher, that means as a new for the Candy Crush game, you are playing the level 1 game. Level 1 game or level 1 in that Candy Crush game. So if the level 1 game is successful only, then you will enter into the level 2. Unless the level 1 game has to be played repeatedly, until what? The level 1 game has to be played repeatedly. Once again I will tell you this example. You have the Candy Crush gaming application. So in that Candy Crush gaming application, level 1, suppose you are playing the level 1 and if the level 1 becomes successful, then only you will enter into the level 2. If the level 1 is not success, until that level 1 has to be success, you are going to play the level 1 game only, level 1 only. That is, multiple times you are going to play that level 1. So at that time we can use this statement. So because of here, whenever we are going to discuss about the control statements, that may be condition statements or loop statements or next jump statements, mainly we have to discuss here is, we have to know is at which requirement we have to use these statements, because of all these are logical statements like that one. So anyway, here see, whenever you want to execute a statement repeatedly, that is several number of times, then we have to use what? Loop statements. Loop statements. That means if a statement has to be executed repeatedly multiple times, then you have to use what? Loop statements. We have the two types of loop statements. One is while loop and second one here is for loop. First we'll discuss about while loop. So while loop and for loop both will be useful to execute a statement repeatedly. But what is the while loop here? Yes, when we have to choose the while loop means, see, while loop is useful to execute a statement repeatedly, but when we have to choose the while loop means, whenever you don't know how many times the statement has to be executed repeatedly. Whenever you don't know how many times the statement has to be executed repeatedly. For example, if you take the Candy Crush game only, level 1. So the developer don't know how many times the user has to be play level 1 game. Because of here, what is the condition? Until it becomes successful. So when that success will come, the developer don't know, right? So at that time we can choose that while loop. So if you don't know how many number of iterations in advance, if you don't know how many number of times the statement has to be executed repeatedly in advance, then you can use what? While loop. So this is the syntax. Here the expression will be Boolean expressions only, right? So, and this is the statements. Here we take an example. So here I equal, for example, I want to print from 1 to 3. 1 to 3. So I equals to 1. Now condition is check. That means I want to execute these statement repeatedly. The statements repeated. I'm sorry. This statement has to be executed repeatedly. So I equals to 1. Now 1 less than or equals to 3. First the condition will be checked. So 1 less than or equals to 3. Condition is true or false? Is true. That's why this statement will be executed and print 1. After then here we use what? Incrementing. That is I equals to I plus 1. I value, what is the I value? 1. 1 plus 1, 2. And again the 2 value will be assigned to I. So now again the flow will come back to check the condition. Now I value is 2. 2 less than 3. So 2 less than 3. Now condition is true. That's yes. That's why this statement has to be executed. And again here we have that increment. Now what is that one? I value is 2. I value is 2. 2 plus 1, that equals to 3. And again it is assigned to I. After assigning, that flow will come back to check the condition. So here what is that one? 3 less than or equals to 3. Yes, condition true. That's why it is printed. This statement is executed once again, and increment statement is also be executed. So now what will be happen? I equals to 3 plus 1, that equals to 4, and 4 is assigned to I, and the flow has to be come to back and check the condition. So 4 is less than 3. So 4 is less than 3. The condition becomes true or false? False. Whenever the condition becomes true, then the loop will be terminated. See here, the print statements and these statements are executed repeatedly. How many times? 3 times. So this is the example of while loop. Okay. So let me see an example. I equals to 1. Now while I less than or equals to 10. For example, I want to print from 1 to 10. Now print I, and then you have to increase I plus 1. Okay, now see. So repeat, how many times it will be print? 10 times it will be printed. The print statement repeatedly print how many times? 10 times. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is about what? While loop. So when we have to use the while loop means whenever you don't know you don't know how many number of statements, how many number of times the statement has to be executed repeatedly. At that time we can use while loop. Here see the same while loop only, but we can use that else, because of in Java and C programming language we cannot, but here in Python we can use what? While loop. Okay, na? We can use what? While loop. See, Python is uses to enables us the while loop with else block also. That means we can use the else block with while loop. While loop. So now let me see an example. See, else print loop is terminated. Okay, na? Whenever the print statement is executed 10 times, after 10 times what will be happen? The condition becomes false. Whenever the condition becomes false, then what will be happen? The while loop will be terminated. So whenever the while loop is terminated, then what will be happen? Next, the else statement is executed. So here the else statement simply I given the message, that is loop is terminated. Okay, na? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, then loop is terminated. Okay, so this is about what? While loop. Now next we have, yes, this is final, that is summary of this discussion. So in Python, loop statements allows you to repeat a block of code multiple times, which is essential for the task that which requires the repetition. That is the thing. Next, a while loop when we have to use means whenever it executes repeatedly until a condition is true or false. But it is useful whenever you don't know the number of repetitions in advance. So that is called what? While loop, right? So in next topic and next discussion we will discuss about what? For loop, right? Thank you.